Hey everyone, it is Travis here and welcome to another week's webinar video. In today's video, myself and Andrew Lima will set up a couple of custom fields using the popular Paid Memberships Pro Register Helper add-on. Now, this add-on is not the easiest one to set up, and it does require a bit of coding knowledge to actually configure the add-on. But with that being said, it is extremely flexible and allows you to configure these custom fields exactly as you need them. Some of you might know Andrew as he is a developer on the Paid Memberships Pro team, as well as a support engineer. So if you have ever opened up a support topic, chances are you've ran into Andrew at some point. If you're around during the premiere live stream of this video, you'll be happy to know that myself and a couple of my team members will be around to answer any questions that you might have. So with that being said, let's dive into the video and we'll see you in a bit. Hey everyone, so I am here with Andrew Lima. Andrew's actually my brother and a developer at Paid Memberships Pro. We work together and we have worked together for many years now. And I thought it would be kind of cool if Andrew could just give us a very brief introduction to the popular Register Helper add-on. Now, for those of you who don't know, Register Helper essentially allows you to create custom fields for your membership site and add them to your checkout page. There is a lot you can do with it, and we might only cover a little bit in this video. So if you need any further help with anything, please refer to our documentation, and the link should be down below if you're watching this on YouTube. And you can also, if you are a premium PMPro member, reach out to us on our support forum or our member support area, and we'll be more than happy to assist you with any questions you have. Andrew, welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for joining me. I've wanted to actually get you on this show for a long time now, so I'm really stoked that you've decided to join me. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks for organizing this. Schedule's been pretty busy, so it's been difficult to set up a time, but more than happy to help.
Great. Andrew, I don't know if you could just I gave a very brief introduction about you. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do at Paid Memberships Pro. And give us any details that you find you might want to share.
Okay, cool. So I'm one of the senior developers and product managers for Paid Memberships Pro. My responsibilities are handling support. Since we're a small team, everyone in the team gets to do that from time to time. And then general bug fixes development for Paid Memberships Pro. And I'm lead of some of the add-ons like the approvals add-on, email confirmation add-on, and some other ones. So yeah.
Great. Awesome. Thanks. Like I said, I'm stoked to have you on the show. So that's perfect. Andrew, I wonder if we can basically dive right in. Would you give us perhaps a brief introduction to Register Helper, what it is, what the documentation looks like, and then you can sort of just take it away and show us actually how we can start adding some fields. Yeah.
Great. All right. So the Register Helper add-on is mainly for custom fields tied to Paid Memberships Pro. This means you can add it to either the membership profile of the user, like in the edit user profile page, and on the checkout page. And you can show it for specific levels. For example, if you have a membership level that's free, you might want to ask for different information than the premium levels that you're offering. So the free level could ask for what's their website URL, where the paid level, you don't really need to know that information. So it's very flexible in that way. It's not one of our easiest add-ons to work with, but we're in the process of fine-tuning it and, possibly making it a lot easier for non-developers and non-power users to be able to add fields. But with that being said, hopefully this webinar and guide will be able to help you understand it a bit more, and actually it's not that bad. If you can work your way around copy pasting and reading documentation, you should be more than enough to like create 100 fields if you really needed to. So all I did was I googled the register helper add-on, and so this page came up. This is our documentation page. It's broken up into 4 or 5 parts, as you can see here. The main 2 parts or 3 parts that you would use is the quick start guide, the adding fields, and the code examples. So whenever a customer asks us for fields, I either pull an existing recipe out from like what I've done previously, or I just come to this code examples field, copy the code, and then just alter the values for the customer that, whatever fields they're requiring. I'll touch a little bit on that a bit later, but so adding fields, the main one we're going to look at now is this one.
Great. And while that loads, I just want to actually add a little bit of 2 cents into this. If you are watching this and you are a premium PMPro member, we currently do offer a no extra charge service. I don't know if I phrased that right, but basically, if you are a premium member, you can get in touch with our support team and we will set up to 5 additional custom fields onto your site for you free of charge. So I just wanted to make mention of that before I forget and before we get too deep into that. So Andrew, sorry to interrupt you there.
No worries at all. So the adding fields documentation page kind of explains like how you'd want to create it from the from a blank page. As you can see, it involves 2 steps. You're going to create this object, and then number 2, add the fields using this hook. This might sound foreign to some people, but as we work with it, it should start making sense.
Right.
So when I go through the code, I'll explain like the 3 parameters, how it works and stuff. So I'll skip over this for now. One of the important sections of this documentation is the options that applies to all field types. This will apply to every single field type. It doesn't matter if it's a text area, a select, a drop down, a radio button, a checkbox. All of these attributes or options will manipulate the fields. So for example, required equals false by default. If you want users to enter this field as a requirement, you'll set this to true. For example, if you want to show it for specific levels, as I mentioned earlier, for level 1, you're going to use a levels option. If you want to include it in the export for the CSV, you'll use this option and set it to true. Again, this is quite a lot of information to take in, but as we work with it, you'll see how we can implement these options. Also with options, there's specific field type options. So for example, your options on a radio button might be different to a text button. As you can see, the text area field type has different options over the text field. Same with the select.
Right.
These are specific options for the select and select to fields.
So you can basically set up a field, and then depending on what options are available in general or specific to that field, you can basically craft these custom fields to exactly suit your needs as you need it. Is that basically what you're saying here?
Yes. So that would be the options for all the fields, to make them like a bit more flexible to your edge cases. But the options for specific fields is kind of just saying like, hey, on a select drop down list, you have to have, options, for example, like for the user to select. And that's what this is available for in the select only field. So for example, you can't pass this options into the text field type, because what happens with the register helper add-on is we kind of built like a wrapper or a container, if you will, that you pass it in settings in the PHP, and then it'll just generate the HTML to display it on the checkout or the profile page. And then the add-on also handles like the saving and updating of fields. So that's basically what the options are. So this options will basically create this HTML tag for each option in the select HTML field, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, each field has a specific option per field as well, on top of these options that are available for all fields. So this is used for all fields, and we'll mainly be covering this. I'll probably do a select field just as an example to show you how to use like an options, for example.
Great. Okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
So to get started, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit and did a little bit of the code already. There's currently no fields. I kind of did the step 2, the PMPro add registration field. And then there was just a little PHP check to make sure that it doesn't load this code if the register helper is not loaded. These 2 parts here are default for every register helper code snippet you're going to use. And I will go over this as we get there to like explain like what this block of code is doing and what this block of code is doing.
Great. Andrew, can I just also just maybe make it clear for those who are watching at the moment? So as you might see that we've already got some code over here, and Andrew has set this up in a code editor or a text editor. There are a bunch available, and with Register Helper, as Andrew said a little bit earlier, you have to be able or have a little bit of knowledge of code and how it works. So he's going to now show us exactly what's going on here and how to do it. And he's using a text editor. I believe it's Visual Studio by Microsoft, if I'm not mistaken, Andrew. And if you can see in the sort of top left of his screen, he's working in a file called PMPro-customizations.php. So we often recommend using a PMPro plugin where you can store all of your customizations, and that includes the Register Helper code. So down below in the comment section of the YouTube video that you're watching now, I'll include a link to that PMPro customizations plugin documentation. You can get a blank or an empty PMPro customizations plugin that you can essentially download straight from the blog post and upload it to your site. It's free, and then you can actually start adding code into that plugin, and it's a very safe and secure place to actually store all of these things. So this is what Andrew is working on now, and great. Thank you, Andrew. Sorry again for interrupting, and go ahead.
No, that's all right. No worries about that. So yeah, we kind of just got the shell of the function now, as you mentioned a bit ago. And so now we want to add fields, right? So we've got an array here. This holds all the field objects, or just say like the fields and its settings. And you can add as many as you want to this. And once you add the first field with the settings, it's kind of copy paste and then just change the values for kind of what field you want, and then tweak it slightly.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to say fields equals new PMPro RH fields. Now this is the function mentioned on this page, the documentation page. We have to call this function PMPro field object with an array of properties and options for the field that we're going to add. So let's go down. I saw it here somewhere. There's 3. Oh yeah, the fields added by this object or function, because I just call it a function because of the brackets. But you actually like setting the object to be technical. There's 3 parameters. You're going to pass in the name, the type of field you want, and then an array of options. So this is basically saying like what we want to name the field, what type of field we want, and then what options from this list do we want that specific field to have. So one key point with the name of the field, this is stored as user meta. in the WordPress table, as it says here, the WP user meta table. It cannot contain spaces or any special characters of that sort. It kind of gets stripped when it saves to the database. So if you've created fields and you've called it like my space, the actual space field, what's going to happen is it's actually not going to save your field. And this has come up in supports in the past where they got the gist of it right, only the name of the actual field was wrong. So just be aware of that it should be no spaces, dashes. Normally I just use underscores. So yeah, let's start building our first field. Okay, so it takes 3 parameters. The first one we're going to do is, let's call it the name or the meta key that we want to call it. It's always tricky.
Should we do a company, like your company that you work for?
Just to explain on the naming of the fields. For example, if you had to go company name, this is going to fail. What you want to do in this case is you want to underscore it. That's the correct way to handle spaces. The company name, I think a text field will be okay for that.
So that is the type of field that you have now entered. Yes. So you've got the name and then the type.
So this will be meta key or name. This will be the field type. So as you can see, we've passed in the first 2 parameters and it takes 3. So now we're going to pass through the options. So what we're going to do is say options array. No, it's actually just an array, my bad. So it just goes like that. Okay, so we're going to do a text. Okay, so the name, that's the meta key. What we're going to do is we're going to do label and levels. Yeah, label, levels, and required. We'll do these 3.
Sounds good.
So what we're going to do is, it doesn't matter which order you do. For example, like you don't have to do label before levels. You could put label at the very end. But what I like to do is I like to do label first. And then this will be the HTML like text, if you will, the label name on the front end. So you can say, now you can add in your space and say like company name. When working in arrays, just to note, you must always add commas to add multiple parameters to that array, or options in this case. So we want to, we want to make it required. So users have to force it out. We're going to set that to true. So this will make it like, if someone tries to register and this field's empty, it'll show a warning on submit. And then we're going to show it for specific levels. So now what I'm going to do is I just want to double check my levels array on my actual website. So I'm going to go membership settings.
So with the levels option, we are basically going to allow this field to only be shown for certain membership levels. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So to get the ID, all you have to do is go to Paid Memberships Pro settings, make sure you're on the levels tab, and then here's the IDs here that we're going to work with. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. I'm going to maybe show this for levels 1, only level 1. Let's do only level 1. I think that's fine. So I'm just going to put a 1 in there, and that's our first field done. So now, if I save this, I just went Command S, or you can go File Save.
And just to be clear again, so this PMPro customization plugin, you're busy editing it in the Visual Studio code editor from Microsoft, but it is already installed on your site, correct? So once you hit save, it basically updates.
Yeah, it updates the changes to my live site. What you can do is you can always edit this code in a text editor that's not linked to your site, and then paste it into the code snippet plugin that we recommend. And then you'll just copy basically this full function. So now what I want to do is I want to go to my site. I'm just going to go to my account page. Okay, so we only made it for the free level. If you select, here's our company name here. If I change the level to a paid one, you can see there's no company field here anymore. Now let's add some more fields. I'm going to add a select box. And what I'm going to do is I'll probably just add that for all my levels. You don't have to pass through the levels array option if you want to show it for all levels. This is if you want to restrict it to show for only certain levels. So this is just an example to show for one level. So what you can do, what I normally do just to make things a lot quicker, is you highlight your code for the field. You can right click and say copy or control C, and then to paste it, control V. So now also bear in mind that your name should be unique, the meta key or name. So I'm just going to call it favorite color. Oh, sorry. And this is going to be a select. So as again, the format stays the same. I'm just going to change these values basically.
So at the moment you've changed the naming or the meta key, you've changed the type of field. So just to be clear, it's not going to be a text field. So people aren't going to necessarily be able to write in like they would in the company name field above. So this is going to be a select field.
Although when you copy it, you can have multiple text fields and just change like these two values if you want. You know, if you want like 5 text fields that are all going to be text inputs, you'll just copy this, replace company name twice, or every however many times you have those fields. This is just to show like a different field so we can, you know, go through that. I'm going to show it for all levels. And if you're uncertain with what options are, you can go down and like, you can just search for the select field. So I'm just going to scroll down because I know it's here. And then it explains how to use this. The default blank option can be added by passing a blank value option. And I'll show you how to do this. The format is array. So option name is options. It takes an array. And here's an example of how you would do it. So, okay, it's just, the documentation is just to help there. So what you're going to do is we're going to say like, okay, we want options now. And then in place of like either the string or text, we need to pass it an array. So what we do is we call it an array. We open that. I do it on a new line just to make things look a little bit better. So I'll have just say 3 options here with a blank option to say like, please select. The blank option is good if you want it required and they have to select something. So I'll say like, please choose a color. And then again, it's the same as working within this array. You're going to use comma separated values, and it's going to be a key label type of scenario here. So this will be like, my favorite color is red. And then you can call it red. I'm trying to think of like another crazy option. So, all right, we'll just keep it simple. Blue, blue, green, green. So I saved it again, and now this field for level 1 should show up on the company field should show up for level 1. This color field should show up on all the levels, but including level 1, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go back here.
Okay.
Go back to my
makes sense.
level 1. I'm just going to refresh the page. I hope this is right. So as you can see, we now have got a drop down. It's not required by default. It's just the register helper thing, functionality, if you will. So it'll be like, please select the color. You can leave this blank and you can still check out. This would have to be filled out. So if I click down, here's the options, red, blue, or green. So when the user checks that, it will, you know, save that. And then I'll maybe add one more field.
Yeah, I was thinking that quite a popular field that I often see asked about is a simple telephone number. I don't know if that's something worthwhile doing. If you think so, then we can add that. Unless you have a better example.
To touch on the telephone field, we don't have a telephone, we don't have a telephone field type. So you'd have to use a text field. So it would basically be, copy paste, but I can show you how to do that. So again, we're going to copy our company field as a starting point. I like to do it like that, just because the field type's going to be the same. Going to paste it in. Again, we're going to rename the meta key, or field name in this case. So we can call it telephone. We're going to scroll down. We're going to keep it as a text because text we'll use for field, for the phone field. The label here will be telephone number. We're going to make it required, and let's make it for all levels. So we're going to, make it required for all fields. I just want to check one setting real quick. Okay, so now we get to the point. I'm going to add one more field. Sorry, I'm jumping around here. So I'm going to add a field that's only for admin, which means it will only show on the edit user profile page for admins. I can do a test checkout as a user, for example, just to show the difference. But
okay.
So it looks like this is false. I actually overlooked this setting. So what we want to do is we want to add the profile. So this is if you want the users to submit these fields at checkout, but be able to edit them when they edit their profile in WordPress. We would set this to true, profile to true. So for example, say you've already got some fields existing on your site, say we've created for you, but you want to change some of the options for the fields. All you got to do is go into where the array is, and then let's just make sure the profile set to true. I'm going to do this for each field. So I like to add it in kind of like just after the required and not at the very end of these options, because it can get a bit confusing. So I normally leave my options for the end.
I was just going to ask, so obviously you didn't have them in previously, but it still worked. So would you as an admin be able to see what they have typed into those fields, even though the profile true option wasn't available?
Okay, so that, no. Okay, let me explain. So if the profile isn't set to true, you can still show this data in your email templates with the email template add-on. All you got to do is add the exclamation mark with the field key. So you're creating your own email template variable. This will then be added to your email. What you can do is, if this wasn't set to true, and say you've had like 20 subscribers already sign up for membership, don't worry, because it's stored in the database. So setting the profile to true will make it that an admin or the user can see it, even if this didn't exist at the time of checkout. So there are two ways to see the value: via the email template add-on, or set the profile to true. Even at a later stage, it'll still be available.
Okay, great.
Okay, just to speed things up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another text. I'm going to add a text area that only admins can see for like notes. So I'll just call it like my user notes. This is for general notes for the text area. This is general notes for the admin. So I'll just be like, please add general notes about the user to this field. So required, I'm going to like remove this completely, so we don't need that. And then to make it only show for admins, I'm going to say only admin. So this means only an account that is an admin or can manage settings will be able to see this field. If you set it to only, it means that users will be able to see it as well, but only when they edit their profile page. So you can see the flexibility of the Register Helper add-on, where you can show fields both on checkout and edit profile page. You can show fields only to the admin when they're editing a user profile, or you can show it to the user and the admin only when they're editing their own profile or an admin is editing their profile. It's just so you don't clutter the the checkout area, the checkout page. If you have a lot of fields, so it'll be good to play with these, see what works for you. Especially if you need data that a user will need to submit after they have a membership level. So you can say only show these fields in the admin area for the user. And then what you can do is in your confirmation email, be like, hey, please update your user profile or your user, your WordPress user account and fill out these fields. So that's one way to capture fields afterwards. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to try to speed things up because we're running out of time. So let's go back to our checkout page. I'm going to refresh the page. As you can see, there's only 3 fields here. So again, we have the general notes, user notes, which is only showing on the user on the user profile for the admin only. So on the front end, on the checkout page, users won't see it. So I'm going to say my company name is Paid Memberships Pro. My favorite color is blue. Again, I can leave this option please choose a color.
Yes, it's not required.
Yeah, it's not required. So I'm just going to put a phony number in. Again, this doesn't limit you to and it doesn't format the field to numbers. So again, we're working on something that will solve this issue. So if I submit and confirm, it should check out. On this page, you can also add in your custom fields if you really wanted to, with a little bit of custom code. So now you can see none of the fields show here, but as soon as I go to my edit profile page, here's my default WordPress editing. I see a bit more options than a normal user would, as I'm just going to point that out. So here's my current membership level, current free, not paying, expires yes, then, and here's under more information is our company name, select favorite color, telephone number, and here's notes. So I'm currently an admin, so I can see this field. So I can add in notes here. You can see the information and then update the profile. So if say this is wrong and I wanted it to be John's company, I could adjust it for the user and update their profile. Profile's been updated. If I scroll down, there's my field updated there now. Okay, so now to get into this a little bit deeper, what comes up in support as well is people don't want it in the more information page or section. And the register helper has a lot of locations. If you scroll to the bottom of the documentation page, you can see here's all our locations that are available. The most common one is the checkout boxes. But for example, you can squeeze in fields after the username, after the password, after the email, right before the submit button. You can even create your own one, which I think is out of scope for this example here. And we might do another video on that, a more detailed register helper, going in how to do conditional fields and things like that, because we can spend quite a bit of time for that. So I'll go over changing these fields to maybe show in a different location and show you how that is handled. All right, so just to show an example of the fields using the checkout box area, it kind of creates this separate box that says more information, and then here's your custom fields. So for example, say we want to move this into the confirm password after these fields, and we want it in the account information block of the checkout page. What we'll do is we'll go to our code and we'll change this to after password and save our field. If I go back to the checkout page and I refresh it, you'll see this block will move. There we go. So after password, you can see we've added our company name. Please select your color and telephone number. One important note of this is if you add fields after you've been running your website for a while and you have existing members, when a user renews or changes their level, this account information kind of gets hidden. and will cause an error if these fields are empty. So make sure that these fields are either not required on login, like if the user's logged in, which requires a bit of tweaking to the actual code itself. Our support team can help you with that. We'll probably do another video, again, as I mentioned earlier, that will go in depth, to show, some tweaks that you can do to get it working correctly. So I recommend keeping it in the checkout boxes area, which is the most common. The checkout boxes area will always show this more information, even if you're logged in. So I can log in here quickly. As I'm an admin, I need to go back to my account page. Let's do a different one, for example. So you can see more information. I've got billing address with card payments. So yeah, as you can see, like if it was beneath the password field, it would kind of be hidden by this block here. So it's always good to have the more information block. And as you can see, the previous save from our example is already in our automatically filled in. So you can easily change your previously existed one or just kind of skip over it if the details don't change.
Perfect. Andrew, we are running a little bit low on time now. And I just wanted to ask you two things real quick. So thank you for doing that demo, first of all. It was awesome. And I think it was a very good starting point for people to start, getting sort of their... getting into the groove with Register Helper. Now, when I was working a little bit more with Register Helper, and what I used to do was I would actually go to the code example section of our documentation. I'd copy all of the code, and then I would just alter some of the options or meta keys or whatever the case may be. For those who are really looking to get started, could you do two things for me? Could you show us how to go to the documentation and maybe copy the code example? And could you maybe just give a couple of pointers to people looking to get started with editing code and Register Helper? Because I know that it can be a little bit tricky and you can potentially throw errors on your site or so could you just give us, for someone who's watching this video, they're excited, they want to go now, just a couple of pointers on how to actually get started in a safe sort of environment so that they don't actually damage their live site.
Okay, great. I'll gladly do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove my code for this example video. Do you want to keep it in the customizations plugin or
No, I think let's assume that we have a customizations plugin already installed as you do on your site exactly like this. And again, for anyone watching, just review or view the PMPro customization documentation that's down below, and then you will see exactly how you can get to this point with that documentation. So, okay, take it away, Andy.
Okay, cool. So your customizations plugin should look like this with a header. You may have other code running already, like from one of our other gists or code recipes that you're using, which is fine. You don't have to delete it. You'll just go to the next open line at the bottom of your customizations file. And then we're going to paste it in, edit the code real quick. So I'm going to go back to the documentation and go back. What you'll do is you'll find the code examples. There's actually only one code example here, I think. There's not many. So you just click on the link to load this page, and then it has already pre-built 3 fields. 3 fields that you can kind of just paste in, and you'll have 3 fields already that you can start accepting data. Or you can just tweak it to your needs. When I build fields, I actually just come to this every single time, copy it, replace the field data that I need. One point to note is do not copy over this opening PHP tag, because if you don't close your PHP tag and then have 2 opening ones like this, that's going to cause a fatal error and your site's going to go down. There are ways to recover it, but yeah, just make sure you don't copy 2 open ones. Okay, that's like the main thing to look out for. One more thing to look out for is our team tries to avoid this when writing code recipes, but if you have more than one function with the same name, that's also going to throw an error. So if you know you've copied my PMPro RH in it from somewhere else, just make sure you rename it to something else, and then at the bottom of the function, rename it from this code recipe. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to highlight all of this code. You can go up until there. I'm going to press Control C, or you can right click copy, and then go back into our text editor and paste it in. Control V, that's all I did. And I'm going to save my field. So again, we explained like the levels are option. This will only show for levels 1 and 2. This is just to give you an example. Again, only admin, we touched on that, so that will only show in the profile for admins. And then again, I also touched on a select field. So we'll show you what these fields look like and how you can manipulate them real quick. So I'm going to go back to my checkout page, and I'm just going to refresh. So again, we have 3 fields. One of those fields are only for admin. It copies our company and a select dropdown that has a budget. So this is good to be. This is good to ask for people registering if you want to, like you have a monthly maintenance package or a SEO kind of business where you want to know their company name and how much they want to spend.
Right.
The budget that they have. So yeah, less than $2,000. Okay.
Great, Andrew. I think that's perfect. That's a really good starting point. And what I used to do is, if you can go back to your code real quick, is I would literally just remove the fields that I didn't want or alter the ones that I did. And I think you've already sort of covered that previously on how to actually create and edit field. So if you are just getting started, this is a great way because it's got the function at the top and it's got the hooks at the bottom. So it's a complete plugin that you can basically start with. I just want to make a bit of a disclaimer. And I would say if this is your first time dabbling with code, I would highly suggest that you do what Andrew's doing now and you actually work with a code editor on a staging site on a local development environment. I would strongly suggest not just going the route of adding things and tinkering around on your live site. And even if you do, it is imperative that you do a full backup of your website and make sure that it is a restorable backup. And if you need help with this, just get in touch with your hosting provider. It's always a good thing to have a backup of your site, but you don't want to be in that unfortunate position where you start tinkering around and you just get stuck with a fatal error on your site. There are ways around it, but it can be extremely intimidating and overwhelming if you don't know where to go from there. So again, if you need any help with this kind of setting up Register Helper and the fields, and you really feel that it's a bit overwhelming, rather get in touch with us so that we can help you, or try it out on a staging site or a test site so you really don't have any major consequences of something going wrong. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Andy, or...
Yeah, no, that's cool. Just with like what Trev said with the code example, just copy it, and then what I normally do is I just delete these two, and then you've got a base. Yeah, these lines of code. This is a base for your fields. And then all you do is you copy paste like you said, and then you can just replace the values with what you want, the type of field, and then you've got yourself like 5 fields. It's that quick. But it does take a bit of time to get used to, especially if you're not familiar with code. Great.
Awesome. Andrew, I want to thank you so much for showing us around Register Helper. I think it was a great demo, and I think people are going to find it quite useful. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was good to finally get this video done. And
also, yeah, we should do more. So if you're watching and you made it this far into the video, let us know the comment section. Let us know down below in the comment section if you have any further videos that you want us to make. And then we want to do more of these kind of walkthroughs, and we find that you like it, we like doing them, so yeah, let us know. Great. Okay, with that, goodbye everyone. Thank you. Hey everybody, thank you very much for watching this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. Register Helper, as we said, is a little bit tricky to set up if you are unfamiliar with some coding practices. Just as a reminder that if you are a premium PMPro member and need a little bit of help setting up some fields, our team will gladly set up to 5 additional fields for you at no extra charge. So just get in touch with us over on our member support area and we'll get right on that for you. I'm going to let the video play out a little bit now, and if you are still around, please feel free to chat or ask us some questions and we'll be more than happy to help you. Thanks again for tuning in and we'll see you soon. Bye. it's sort of like in line after the password. It's just kind of added there. Yeah. Sorry, Andrew. We're just gonna cut that. Maybe just say that. Sorry, I dropped something now. That was. Just hold on. I'm having a technical difficulty. Okay, and Ansie's also leaving. Okay, bye.